وَأَهْلُهَا مُصْلِحُونَ. And your Lord would not destroy a community if their people would try to reform themselves. One of the best ways to live a healthy and long life is to prevent sickness. This is for individuals to live a long, healthy life. Prevention is the best approach to healthy life. But prevention does not happen all the time. We cannot prevent diseases. Sometimes people get sick for any reason. If we can prevent diseases and sickness, that would be the best approach. But when a sickness happens, the best approach to have a healthy life after prevention is to diagnose the problem correctly and find the right treatment. I'm not a physician, but I'm trying to say something common sense. So if you are a physician here, don't feel that I'm intruding on your fields. This is just a common sense how to live a healthy life. Problems happen within our body, within our family and our communities. The question is how we can live a healthy life individually or as a community, socially. So the best approach first to prevent problems from happening, if we can, either as an individual or as a community. But if we cannot prevent a problem from happening, the best approach is when it happens, we diagnose it very fast, if possible, and find the right treatment. Of course, it's easy said than actually applying it, because sometimes people either cannot acknowledge there is a problem, or if they acknowledge there is a problem, they may not be able to diagnose the right problem. Maybe they feel some kind of pain, but where this pain comes from, they have no idea. And sometimes even if they diagnose the problem, finding a cure, either it is not available or not accessible for many reasons. This is the reality. This is common sense. I'm not talking high sophisticated science. This is really common sense for fixing the problems within our life, as physically and also as mentally and spiritually. In our behavior as humans, a lot of things happen in our behavior and conduct. And especially when a problem happens, we need to acknowledge that this behavior is a problem. If we do not acknowledge it is a problem, most probably we are not going to make an attempt to solve it. So if someone is addicted to smoking or a variety of it, to food, to sugar, to coffee, sometimes you may say, you know what, that's normal. This addiction is very normal, it's an herbal thing, it's not going to hurt. Same with sugar. So if someone is not really acknowledging there is a problem, there is no way that we can find a solution for that. The first step is to acknowledge that there is a problem. When you acknowledge there is a problem, then you have to understand, analyze what is this problem is, and then seek a solution. Possibly an individual cannot find a solution by himself or herself, so this is why we have consultants, we have physicians, we have lawyers, we have a variety of professional people who can help us solve a variety of problems. The same applies for communities. For a community to live a prosperous life, a healthy life, a happy life, first of all, they need to acknowledge that there is a problem. That's the first step towards solving such a problem. And it is not easy to acknowledge that there is a problem. Today you hear in the news one of the most hot topic that creates a lot of controversy in our nation, which is gun control. For a lot of people, gun control is actually, there is no problem called gun control. They do not admit that there is a gun control, a problem called gun control. So when we do not agree on subject, we cannot find a solution. Sometimes, of course, nobody can predict the future. But sometimes we can analyze a consequence of an act and make sure that an act we commit or carry, that there is a result, certain result as a consequence of this act. Let me give you a very fine story. All of you know a character called Mullah Nasruddin. Mullah Nasruddin was sitting on a branch of a tree, and he was cutting the end that attached the branch to the tree with a chainsaw. Cutting the branch, he's sitting on a branch, the branch is attached to a tree, so he's cutting the end that is attached to the tree. Somebody passed and told him, Mullah, what are you doing? He said, I'm cutting this branch. He said, but you will fall soon. He said, how do you know? The man did not respond. He kept going. And soon Mullah fall on the ground. So he ran behind this man and told him, stop, are you a prophet? He said, no, I'm not a prophet. He said, how do you know that I was going to fall? It doesn't need for someone to know ilm al-ghayb, the knowledge of the unseen, to predict certain consequences of an act. Because this is common sense. We are talking about common sense. Today, because we mentioned the gun control, today there is about 310 million piece of weapons in the United States. 310 million civilian firearms in the United States. Almost for every one person, including kids and children and seniors, there is one piece of weapon. No wonder why there is about 31,000 homicide or suicide every single year in the United States. 31,000 homicide or suicide. So for each 10 million piece of weapon, there is 1,000 killing, either by homicide or suicide. This is common sense. When you have a lot of weapons and firearms at home, somebody is going to use it. You do not need to be really smart and genius to predict such consequences of certain acts. You know how many cars in the United States? 250 million cars in the United States. Do we need more cars or we need more weapons? Both? Really? No, which one you need more? Cars. You need to take your children to school every single day, but you do not need to kill someone every single day. What? So how many times you use a gun a month? How many times?
I don't know, some people that it's where it's like.
You need cars every single day. I don't know how many times a day.
Bicycles.
Bicycles. You can ride bicycles. That's a good solution. But it's still, I think we do need cars more than weapons. But yet, in the United States, you see more weapons than cars. This is why we cannot solve the problem, because we have not acknowledged a problem. In our nation, they have not acknowledged a problem. The global warming. Does everyone agree in the United States that there is a problem called global warming?
Yes.
There is a big fight. You may agree, but not everyone agree. I may agree. This community, some may agree, some may disagree. But we see the fight in the news every single day. Some people do say, no, this is a natural process in our universe. It happened before, it's gonna happen in the future. This is very natural. And someone would say, this is man-made. The pattern that we see in our climate and weather is something unusual. The drought that we see for 4 years now, and then after this drought, we see a pattern of rainfall that is not usual. Mudslide and floods everywhere, but we do not agree. The community and the nation do not agree. So this is why we cannot find a solution. But once we agree, we acknowledge there is a problem, then we have to find a diagnosis for that problem. And then after diagnosing the problem, we find the right treatment. The right treatment to solve the problem. There is a problem with some communities who are self-righteous. Self-righteous communities, they believe they are the best, they do the best, and they offer advice to everyone, but in reality they do not accept advice for themselves. They believe they are doing what it pleases God. They are in the best situation. But when someone gives them a suggestion to live a better life, they would not accept. This is the one quality of people who believe they are really righteous. They do not need advice from anyone. And this is a major obstacle toward fixing a problem, toward a reform. When someone believes, or a community believes that they are doing excellent, and there is no space to do the best, to do better, then they would not offer an advice. I remember I lived in so many countries. And in some countries, you see the traffic is terrible. Some of you travel to many countries and you know what I'm talking about. Traffic is a disaster. in some of these countries. So you tell the officials, government officials, why you don't do something about the traffic? At the end of your talk, you get to know that they really do not think there is a problem. This is the life. This is a very natural life. You have 10 million people living in a city. This is the natural product of intensive crowd living in one city. That's it. They believe this is. They do not accept that there is a problem. They believe that's the best. Take the same and apply it in every sect of life. In education, in finance, in trading, in dealing. In many countries, I think all of you have this piece of plastic in your pocket called credit cards. It's hard to live in the United States without a credit card. Do you carry cash with you all the time? But you know, in many countries, even today, credit card is something, it's not available, it's still something not used, and they, very unaware that there is a credit card. And when you tell them, man, people are doing business much easier and easier. Why you do not try to improve the way you deal and do transactions? They say, if I'm going to accept a credit card or businessman accept a credit card, most probably he will not get his money. Or people will try to pay with the credit card, but they will not pay, repay for the credit company. So you see what I am coming to. There are certain communities who believe that their life is the normal and the natural, maybe the best, and there is no space for them to. This is the beginning of corruption, and this is the beginning of a community going downhill and falling apart. That they believe they are righteous. They do not accept advice and suggestions from someone, and then there is no problem, no space for them to improve. While the Quran always tells us, always look for a space to improve yourself. It doesn't matter how better you are, there is a space for you to even do better. Every single day, every single moment, every single moment. This is why the word takamul, integration, it is used in our faith, because we believe we can do better tomorrow. Regardless of how good we are, we still can do better tomorrow. There is always a space for us to do better tomorrow. In fact, Imam Ali alayhi salam says, "Man tasawa yawmah fahuwa maghbun." If two of your days, today and yesterday, are equal, then you have lost. You have to improve. Today should be better than yesterday. So life is a journey of improving every single minute. Improving every single minute. And in our faith, there is no sanctity about an institution. There is no sanctity, especially about power. The Quran says, وَبَشَّرْ عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ يَتَّبِعُونَ الْقَوْلَ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَهُ. Give a glad tidings to those who listen for ideas, who shop for ideas, who understand all thoughts, and then they choose the best of them. Give them glad tidings, because this community will do the best in their life. Always be in the look for ideas, for improvements. This is what our faith encourages us to do. Imam Ali alayhi salam,
why are we not doing so good?
I don't know, this is a topic of another question. Maybe I can answer this after my presentation. Because we are not implementing this. Because we are actually not implementing what the Quran says. A community, if they feel that they are doing the best, basically they will not accept suggestions. And there is no space for them to improve, especially those who associate themselves with faith. Those who believe they are the best believers, they are there to advise people, but no one can advise them. In our faith, there is actually, I don't think there is a concept that you cannot advise anyone, including those in authority. Imam Ali alayhi salam became a Khalifa, a ruler for 4 years. Shia Muslims believe that he is ma'soom, he is infallible, he does not make mistake. But when he became a head of a state, he told people, do not stop offering your best thought. لا تبخلوا بقول الحق. Do not stop offering the truth, the best of your thought. Whatever comes to your mind, even about me that you think I'm not going to do a mistake, I would like you to come forward and say the truth. Because in my own mind, لست بفوق أن أخطئ. I am not above the possibility of making mistakes. That's what he told people. So the second man in our faith says, come forward, tell me. I want your suggestion, I want your thoughts, so we can work as a team to correct things in our life. Unfortunately, after the Prophet ﷺ, and especially after the death of Imam Ali, the martyrdom of Imam Ali, things went evil in the Muslim Ummah. Because faith turned to an institution of power, dynasty. And this is why tonight we commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein saw a very serious danger within the Muslim Ummah, a very serious problem. He recognized, he acknowledged this problem. What was this problem? This problem was that faith, religion turned to business. What is the purpose of faith? Purpose of faith is to give a spiritual empowerment, make people live a spiritually healthy life, give healing to people. This is what faith is about. To teach us about how to live in this life, a healthy, spiritually healthy life, and also to gain Allah's pleasure in this life and in hereafter. This is the purpose of religion. With a lot of teachings about justice, about equality, about opportunity for everyone, about fighting poverty, all these educations that religion comes with. But Imam Hussein found the problem, what is happening. Religion is turning into business, a business that empowering an institution of a dynasty, the club of power. Let me give you an example, maybe another example of medicine and how to cure. Again, I'm sorry if I'm intruding on a lot of medical practices here, but this is just common sense. You know, we go to the doctor, they give us medicine, drugs. The purpose of this drug is to give us healing, to reduce the pain and suffering, or to make surgery. So we go through a process of healing and recovery. This is what a drug is about, either to reduce the pain or to give recovery. So the idea is actually a very good idea. But today we see for a company comes, a pharmaceutical company, that they use this concept of giving drugs and medicine, but they abuse it in a way. Today, to be honest, I have the best insurance, but I cannot have any medicine I want, to be honest. Does everyone can get every medicine they want in this country? No. Even if you have insurance. Either it is not available, or they deny you, or you have to pay a lot of money to buy simple medicine, painkiller. An example, Celebrex, for example. No, I have the best doctor. I really have the best doctor, but sometimes I need the medicine and the insurance company denies me. And I have the best insurance. I have two best things, best insurance and best doctor. But when it comes to medicine, the medicine I want is not available. They might give me a substitute, a generic one, but the one I want is not available. My point is, the idea of medicine giving a cure and recovery to people is the best, but there might be an organization or entity that they can abuse this concept and make commercial gain out of it. So this fundamental aspect in every society turns into business, turns into a commercial way of gaining money and benefits. The same happened with religion, and even today it does happen until now. Religion is for the healing of every individual, that you feel connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You get empowered spiritually. You go through a spiritual healing process. At times when you face serious challenges in life, nothing helps you except faith. Your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The faith comes to rescue. But this faith, Imam Hussein saw that this faith is becoming a business, a commercial business for a dynasty. The dynasty of Bani Umayyah. Everything turned upside down. The values, the characteristics of the leader, the practice of the community, and this is why he said, you know what, we have a problem, a serious problem, and I'm not going to, the way we treat this is that we reject this kind of a practice. We do not endorse it. We do not accept it. And I, as the grandson of the Prophet, if I offer allegiance to the tyrant, obviously everyone will. But at least people are looking at me, I should reject endorsing the acts of the tyrant. Yazid came to power with a totally invented way, not a practice in the history of Muslims before at all. A man who does not practice the faith, people rejected him, A man who didn't even have an education about the faith, who would consume intoxicants publicly, over a sudden became the successor of the Prophet, Khalifat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's a big danger. That's a big danger. This is why Imam Hussein decided to reject this idea, even by offering his life, sacrificing his life to say one word, that this kind of injustice in our faith is not tolerated. We do not tolerate this kind of injustice. He said, I heard the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ra'a minkum sultanan ja'iran." Whoever sees a tyrant, a corrupt tyrant, mustahillan li haramillah, such tyrant who would permits what God has prohibited. Tyrants permits for them to violate human rights, violate the tenets of the faith, the dignity of people, something that God has offered sanctity, they violate them. ناكثا لعهد الله, breaching the covenant of God. مخالفا لسنة رسول الله, rejecting the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. يعمل في عباده بالإثم والعدوان. He deals with people in aggression and wrongdoings. ثم لم يغير بقول أو فعل كان حقيقا على الله أن يدخله مدخله. Then such person, if he does not say anything or do anything, God may treat that person as he treats the tyrant. Because by not saying anything and not doing anything to correct what the tyrant is doing, you are, or they are endorsing what the tyrant is doing. So especially about the power, there are many mechanisms that Islam offers to correct the problem within the structure of power in Muslim Ummah. One of them is Amr bil Ma'ruf, Al-Amr bil Ma'ruf, commanding what is right and forbidding what is good. An-Nahyu 'anil munkar. Of course, yesterday we did talk, good and bad are more broad than the concepts of faith. You may say global warming is not included in the faith, so do not discuss that. We say discussing something that affects the life of the community is something good. You want to discuss it. So this goes into this part. Commanding what is good, recommending what is good, al-amru bil ma'ruf. Need not to say that unfortunately throughout history, Muslims, needless to say that unfortunately, we should admit that we did not practice this tenet of the faith, al-amr bil ma'ruf and nahy 'anil munkar, in the right way. How we command good and how we forbid bad, wrong things to take place. In most communities, that when you hear amr bil ma'ruf, in most of these communities, is the government who implementing that, not the people. While it has to be the opposite. Government, they can teach, but they cannot use force to promote the faith. Those countries that you hear the word Amr b'Ma'ruf, people are scared of this Amr b'Ma'ruf. I don't want Amr b'Ma'ruf anymore because it is some kind of intrusion in the life of people. That's not Amr b'Ma'ruf. Amr b'Ma'ruf is opposite. Amr b'Ma'ruf is for people to suggest to the government what they do or not the opposite. Amr b'Ma'ruf is when someone sees what the government is doing wrong, they can go in a very institutionalized way to tell the government what you are doing is not a correct one. It's not the opposite. And there are many ways of teaching. Not necessarily in a direct way, not necessarily in an aggressive way. When we teach about, there are two ways of teaching people or asking them not to do something. For example, you may prohibit smoking. You put a law and you say smoking is prohibited. This is one approach toward fighting smoking, right? Another approach is to give awareness to people that smoking is dangerous to your health. Which one is the best? To ban smoking or to raise awareness among people? To tell them, smoking is going to hurt you. You want to smoke? Go ahead, but you are inhaling poison. Islam says when you want to fight something, teach people, give them awareness. Imposing something by abandoning it is not going to solve. In many countries today who ban alcohol. Alcohol is so available in every single store. I don't want to mention names. In most holy cities of the Muslim world, whether it could be and you know the names. Wine is available if you want. Wine is available. Because we banned it, we did not teach about it. So this is our failure. This is our failure that we need to admit because we did not give the right treatment for the right problem. These are things we need to admit. So Imam Hussein, as we commemorate his martyrdom tonight, he found that there is a major problem taking place within the Muslim Ummah, which is turning faith to be business. Personal gain, either commercial or either power, to enforce the foundation of power. And this is unfortunately continuous even today in most Muslim countries. Again, I don't want to mention names. Religion became business. Business either to make more money or to enforce power. Tonight is the night of Ashura. I would like to end with a very short story about what happened in such night. Imam Hussein, with his camp in Karbala, in a very small camp, 72 men, a lot of children, and a lot of women. Very thirsty because they have not drink any water for more than 3 days or 4 days. This is the eve of the 10th of Ashura. On the other side, 30,000 soldiers came to fight only 72 men. They are in a very joyful spirit, celebrating. They are going to win the war tomorrow. On the other side, people knew that they have two options: either to surrender to the tyrant or to fight, not to accept what the tyrant says. And we talked about people of honor. People of honor do not surrender to tyrant and injustice. And they are ready to die in honor, protecting their values. There is a famous American poems at the time of independence. He said, "Give me freedom or give me death." Because living under occupation and tyranny is a life without an honor. So in the camp of Imam Hussein, 72 people, including Hussein, they know that tomorrow they are going to fight and stand for justice until the last person. And they are not going to submit to the tyrant. They are spending the night in prayer and dua. But one man is actually outside the camp, guarding and watching, just in case something happens. This man is Abbas, the brother of Hussein. He's on his horse, watching and guarding the camp, making sure nothing will happen. A very small camp, it's very dark. Then, in the dark, he sees someone is approaching. Who's this approaching from the camp? He looks, he sees a woman. The woman approaches. Who's this woman? He gets to find that this is Zainab. Zainab, the sister of Hussein, and his own sister, his half-sister. Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet, was with his own family, with his wives, and also with sisters, and with his brother Abbas. Abbas was a commander, a hero, a knight. He sees his sister coming toward him and respects. He wanted to disembark from his horse. He says, "Sister, what are you doing at this time of the night outside the camp?" She tells him, "I want to tell you a story." He says, "Okay, let me disembark from my horse and I can listen to your story." She says, "No, I have more pleasure seeing you riding your horse than disembarking from your horse. I'd like to tell you the story while you are on your horse." He says, "Okay, tell me the story." She said, "When our mother died, Fatima, our father was single for many years. Then he told his older brother, go and find me a brave woman." His brother Aqil told him, "You know, people ask for a beautiful woman, for women of great families, but you're asking for a brave woman? What do you want a brave woman for?" And he told him, "I need a brave woman to give me a child that can defend my other son. In the day he needs someone to protect him. So Aqil went and he found your mom, your mother, and they got married. And you were born. And today you are the commander of his army. My request to you is to protect your brother as much as you can. Abbas told her, don't worry. As far as I am alive, no one is going to approach Hussein. As far as everyone is alive, nothing is going to happen to Hussein. I would like to conclude with this short poem in Arabic and also translate it. Hopefully I can, inshallah. This is a poem in Arabic. Somebody said this poem as if Hussein has said it. شيعتي
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
شيعتي مهما شربتم عذب ماء فاذكروني. Oh, my followers, when you drink fresh water, remember me. أو سمعتم بغريب أو شهيد فاندبوني. And if you hear of a martyr, mourn me. فأنا السبط الذي من غير جرم قتلوني. فأنا السبط الذي من غير جرم قتلوني. I am the grandson of the Prophet. They have killed me without any fault of mine. وبجرد الخيل بعد القتل عمدا سحقوني. And after my killing and my murder, they led their horses to run over my body. ليتكم يوم عاشوراء جميعا تنظروني. I wish you were there on the day of Ashura so you can witness what happened to me. كيف أستسقي لطفلي كيف أستسقي لطفلي فأبوا أن يرحموني. I wish you were there to see how I ask for some water for my toddler, but they refused to have mercy on us. وسقوه سهم بغي عوض المال. وسقوه سهم بغي عوض الماء المعين. And instead of giving him water, they shot him with a poisonous arrow of aggression. Assalamu ala al-Hussein وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. I would like to conclude with reciting this verse for the healing of all those who are ill and sick, for the pleasure of the soul of mu'mineen and mu'minat, for you brothers and sisters to live here with your requests from Allah, from God, granted to you, for your prosperity, for your health, for your wealth, and for peace everywhere, for peace on earth, for peace in every land that they are facing with terrorism, war, violence, occupation, for the growth of our community, and for our hearts to come closer to one another. Ameen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. Ya Allah, Almighty Allah, we ask you to give healing to all those who are ill and sick. We ask you, Almighty Allah, for the sake of this night, for the sake of the Prophet, for the sake of his progeny, and for the sake of Imam Hussein as his sacrifices, to give healing to all those who are ill and sick, and to give a pleasure to the soul of mu'mineen and mu'minat, and to send peace and wisdom and prosperity and security to every part of earth, and especially to countries and regions fighting with violence and war. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات الفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد